Let me ask you another question. During this role play, what item of clothing did you want to sell me? Who wanted to sell me a suit? Why? Who wanted to sell, when you walked in, who wanted to sell me a suit? Yes, sir, why? Marty, why? You make more money. It ain't about me, it's about you. Now here's my question. Will you sell me a $4.50, flies just died. Will you sell me a $4.50 pair of socks today to come back in 7 to 14 days to sell me a suit? Sure you will, I will. I'll sell you a book or a tape today to meet a need to come back and get training. Once we meet that need, that urgent need that you had. But when you came in, you weren't selling a full line of product, you were trying to sell me suits. And when we get myopic like that, we miss opportunities. Therefore, if I'm selling this book to you, what I'm going to do is literally leave it in the briefcase, put it behind my back, I ain't showing it to you. Mark, what's important to you? What would happen if you, what steps have you taken to do that? What's the benefit if, okay, and then would you be willing, how much would you be willing to pay for it? Now I can show him what he needs. But I don't want to say, Mark, stop me if you see something you like. Don't lead with product. Lead with the other person's need. That's hard to do. You get excited about your product. You're excited. You have passion for what you do. You know it with Mary Kay, you've changed lives. That's exciting. And you want to talk about it. And they say, ooh, I got to sell cosmetics? No, you got to put away for your children's college. And I can put you in a vehicle to reach that. Be careful, guys. The tendency is to sell the product. What you want to do is to sell the benefits, the values, the advantage of the product. And that comes with an understanding of how to word your questions and an understanding of where you are in the process. Don't move to a stage the customer's not ready to move to. If you're pulling him through the process, you're an aggressive salesperson. If you're pulling them to the beginning of the process and they want to progress, you're not a very adequate salesperson. So you've got to know your process, where you are and where they are. The reason I use the socks example is that it dramatizes my idea. Tomorrow, when you see the skinny white ankles, don't lead with socks. Take a step back, think, ask a couple of questions. Don't pogo just your health. Don't pogo just the car. Don't pogo just the bakery. What are they trying to get out of this event? What are they trying to do with this project? They're trying to remodel a kitchen. Why? Well, I want to remodel. Okay, once you remodel, well, I'm going to bring people over. We'll have church group here. How do you want the people to feel at church group? That's what you're selling. That ain't remodeling. It's what they feel with the remodeling. Because if not, you're going to get in a battle with your customers all day long. All right, questions, answers, comments. Not an easy example, but I want you to remember the example. This is hard. If people come into your store and they're looking for 44 longs, this is easy. There they are. This is hard. Where's your pain? What would happen if, well, I know you're happy now, but what if I ask you a couple of questions? That's harder. When they come into your store, if you're a retailer, they're out of balance. They're there for a toy. That's easy. Putting them in the right toy is hard. Selling to their needs is hard. But when they come in, they already have a need. When you go into their office, they're fat, dumb, and happy, like William. I'm an engineer for 10 years, and I'm not ready to move. It took him 10 years. Sometimes they're in ache, sometimes they're in pain. Pain, they move, ache, they survive. All right. Questions, answers, comments. We talked about a lot of stuff today. We talked about a lot. We talked about growth, the 4 stages of growth. We talked about sell value, don't defend price. We said put them in a vehicle to reach their goal. This is a biggie. We talked a little bit about DISC. We talked a lot about process. Folks, find a process. It doesn't have to be my process. Invest in yourself. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself. When somebody throws out an objection, we didn't talk about this, when somebody throws out objection, take a breath and ask a question. Why do you feel it's too expensive? Help me understand why you feel that way. What do you mean it looks hard to use? What do you mean that my bid is out of the ordinary? If you're getting the same objection, it's because you're not building value before you quote price. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, Mr. Prospect, I'd like to quote your price, but in fairness, may I build a little bit more value so that you'll see what you're getting with my price? There's nothing wrong with trying it. Sometimes they'll let you, sometimes they won't. Sometimes they've let me, sometimes they haven't. But if I said to the guy in Atlanta, well, I can give you a price, but I haven't built value, may I do a little of that? Yeah, boom, 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 boom. Oh, I see now, yeah, we'll pay that. Because he saw it was a value. Does it happen every time? No, it doesn't happen enough. But I try it. Don't be afraid to try it. Once again, if I can help, my name, my number, everything's on the outside. I'll be up here to answer some questions. I'm going to finish with the story. Gary, if you want to come up and close out, that's fine. Folks, let me close with a story. I love movies. I'm a big movie buff. I love sports and movies. When you put them together, I'm kind of nuts about it. I'm not real proud of this next statement, but I've actually paid money, good money, to see Ben Stiller films. I paid good money to see Will Ferrell, Owen Wilson, but there was one actor in Hollywood for years I hated, Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper was in drug rehab twice. For 8 years, they blackballed him from Hollywood. Now, the reason I didn't like Dennis Hopper is that in 1969, he wrote, he starred, he directed a movie called Easy Rider. Easy Rider is about these potheads from California, I'm being redundant, these guys from California, Captain America, which is Peter Fonda, and then Billy, played by Dennis Hopper. They come into New Orleans. Now, they're everything I'm not. They're protesting, they're long hair, they're in the drug scene. That happened later for me. And they come into New Orleans. I'm 21 years old. I'm going to LSU. I love my country. I love my state. I ain't protesting nothing, and it's about stuff I'm not. They do the drug scene in New Orleans. They get on their Harleys. They go some back bayou road in Louisiana, and two guys in a Louisiana pickup truck come along and blow them off their Harleys and kill them. And I'm incensed over that because we don't do that in Louisiana anymore. So I'm watching one night, I'm watching inside the actor's studio, and sure enough, Dennis Hopper's being interviewed. So I have a choice. I can go watch Desperate Housewives with my wife, or I'm going to watch, so I'll watch Dennis Hopper. I got new information. I made a new decision. Dennis Hopper made 186 movies. He died 3 Easters ago. Dennis Hopper made 186 movies, born in 1936 in Dodge City, Kansas, spent most of his life growing up in Kansas City. He made a movie called Hoosiers. In Hoosiers, the little team beats the big team. I know Hoosiers. In 1966, I was a non-scholarship athlete. I walked on the LSU basketball team. Some jerk had my scholarship, some guy named Pete Maravich. How that happened, I don't know. The coach that year that Coach Maravich kept was a guy named Jay McCrary. I played ball with Jay's son in high school. Jay McCrary coached in the Hoosiers game. 1954, he coached Muncie Central that got beat by the little team Milan. So I know when they get to Hoosiers, talking about Dennis Hopper's role in the Hoosiers, he played Shooter, the drunk alcoholic father. I was riveted because I knew what was going on. So James Lipton said, well, Dennis, you had some money in the movie. Why didn't you have more screen time? Why were you in the drunk tank? Why weren't you on the bench watching your son win the championship game? And Dennis Hopper said something that stuck with me to this day. He said, I've had that man's disease. He was in recovery, and recovery's hard. And it wouldn't have been true to the man, the disease, or his recovery to do that. I'm thinking, wait a minute. This guy's taking reality and he's making it part of fantasy. Isn't it usually the other way around? Unbelievable. Then they sat him on a stool and he talked to the students. And here's what he said. I made 100 plus movies. I don't know my profession. I'm still learning it. Let me tell you how much respect what I have for what you're about to do. I respect filmmaking. What? I've not learned it all. I'm honored to be a part of it. What? And I got new information. I'm a Dennis Hopper fan today because Dennis Hopper was not an actor. He was a craftsman. Dennis Hopper knew his profession, he respected his profession, and he honored his profession. Folks, as a sales professional, I don't meet that standard that he does. So what I'm trying to do, and I'm going to challenge you, what I was challenged that night, learn your profession, respect your profession, and honor what you do. You never graduate from selling. I appreciate you being here. I'll turn it over to Gary. In closing, let me say this. I've worked with a lot of sales groups in this area before, in this kind of environment. And I can say without a doubt, today's group by far has been the most recent. Guys, have fun. Knock them alive. Let me know if I can help. Gary, I'll turn it over to you, Coach. It's yours.